The giant and vocal student organization of Nairobi University, SONU, is a student body that has been stalked by controversy in various occasions. But perhaps it is the 1987 office that holds the record. It is the shortest serving in the institution's history, having had office bearers for barely 9 days before it was disbanded. Robert Wafula Buke, a third-year political science and philosophy student, had been elected its chairman. It was a period when the second liberation struggle was almost at its peak, and university students had been roped in as well.
The underground political movements were on, and I remember several people had been jailed on the Makenya ticket. That was 86 and early 87. So rising up to speak against the regime was not imaginable. You had to greet your people and say, I'm gone, I may never come back, before you speak against the establishment.
Wafula Buke and his team tried taking over student leadership in 1986, but he claims the system blocked his bid. Come 1987, he successfully contested and won in an election that was highly contested.
The campaign was also tough, because I remember the last rally, I was not even allowed to speak. As soon as my opponent spoke and finished, you know, the university students accommodation board, you know, had organized, and they broke the microphone, and even so there was a fight, and they even switched off power.
Dr. Kaberere Njenga and Jared Owiny were part of the students who participated in that election, as well as Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka.
Student politics then was defined by either you are for the system or you were against the system that was in existence then.
Student leader who was seen as not being pro-government was automatically a marked person. And that goes with anybody else who was associated with that leader, in the sense of the SRC, for example, where we were, with Akina Buke as the chairman, Akina Miguna, Margaret Ben. There were quite a number of people. So when we were elected in office, we didn't last more than 9 days. SONU was disbanded, people were arrested at night. By the time we were realizing, we had no student union. And it was a very, very sad moment for many of us, because most of us never got the opportunity to go back to the university to finish their courses. However, a few made it back.
The students were viewed, university students then, were seen to be like the conscience of society, trying to raise issues that maybe could not be raised, because at that time, remember, it was only one, the ruling party was one. So it was impossible, we didn't have opposition. So I think there was a bit of radicalism right from, because when we were at the university, that's when, you know, Mandawiro had just gone, then followed by Wafula Buke.
But even as the Wafula Buke-led team campaigned for their seats, they were financially constrained and had to rely on fellow students for support.
At the time, I asked my colleagues on the table to give me some money. Actually, I had 1 shilling left in my pocket. And I think there was Kenneth Lusaka, the current Speaker of the Senate, and a few other people. And I remember the highest amount that was raised was by Kenneth Lusaka. He gave me 50 shillings. The rest must have given 20 bob, 5 bob. It came to a total of 450 shillings. That's the only money I began my campaign with and finished. And I remember when I was taken to Nyayo House, after the flop, I had 10 shillings left. Nyayo House is yet to return my money, 10 shillings.
Yes, there was a Harambe which was conducted, and I was a guest of honor. I gave 50 bob, because that is what I could afford at that time from my boom. So, you know, 50 bob that time was a lot of money.
After winning their seats, the new chairman constituted his kitchen cabinet of 4, namely Kaberere Njenga as the Secretary General, Miguna was Secretary in charge of Finance, Mnameza Mleji and Munoru Nderu, all who agreed to push one agenda.
The worst can be being jailed. Are you aware of that? You, Miguna, Kaberere, they all said yes. Actually, I must say that was the happiest time in my student leadership, to see that at least I had 4 people who were aware that we were not finishing our studies, one, and that we may be headed to prison and exile, and they were still ready.
Their philosophy was tailored towards around the Cold War politics of that time, which he says was socialism versus capitalism.
The other aspect, which would also have made some people uncomfortable, is siding with the international student fraternity, which was more of leftist. You see, so we, for instance, we declared that our policy will be to work against imperialism.
Our strategy to make sure that we are not singled out, mainly me and Kaberere who are non-radicals, we decided that we shall develop radical policies for every ministry. So that when you go to the Kamkunji, everybody comes out speaking radical politics in its respective dockets. And that's what happened. Believing that if all of us would come out radical, then the establishment would not single out one person. Would find another strategy for dealing with us now that all of us were speaking the same thing.
After fine-tuning their manifesto, the newly elected SONU leadership, which was only 9 days old in office, called for a Kamkunji at the university's Great Court to spell out their manifesto, whose highlights included students be allowed to participate in national politics and also be allowed to participate in the day-to-day running of the university.
The atmosphere was electrifying, you know, the students, you know, they were carried away. And as if by that time, one quality that, you know, Bukka was not a very good orator in terms of, you know, but in articulating things that were very radical was very good, because you see, one quality to become a student leader then was, you know, your oratory skills, right from the days of PLO Lumumba. We had Aloyo Mondi, there's a gentleman called Aloyo Mondi, Mandawiro, you know, in Kiswahili. Then, you know, so you had to be somebody who can really be radical, and you see somebody who can take the government on. So I think that was then the kind of politics that that informed the leadership of the day.
Remember, before that rally, we had a small Kamkunji in Buke's room in Hall 9. And we strategized on what we had to go and talk about in terms of our policies and how we would want to champion the student issues in the university. So everybody was to spell out, like me on welfare, I was to say what issues are we going to champion to ensure that the students stay, the university is comfortable, all the accessories are available in terms of how you entertain yourself and all that. So on my part, I think I didn't get the choreography well, so I didn't put my case nicely, and somehow I was booed. But that does not mean I lost it. But I think from those people who are observing maybe the NIS, whatever they were called then, thought maybe somebody like me has lost favor with the students, so he's not a threat.
Remember, one of the things that President Moi did was to forestall any conflict with us. He decided to raise the boom of the students from 2,500 to 5,000. So in that rally, I said we can't thank him, because the increase was a result of the changed economic conditions in Kenya, and you are not responsible for that. So we're not going to say thank you to anybody. Then in that meeting, I also banned tribal organizations. They said tribal organizations are being used by the establishment, and therefore I was declaring them as unnecessary.
Then I remember Buke ordered that those rails, there were guardrails, the kind of guardrails, so we're going to CCU to eat. He ordered that they be removed within 24 hours, and for surely they were removed. And I remember after that night, after that Kamkunji, when we woke up in the morning, I think all of them had been arrested.
However, to Wafula Buke, the shortest-serving SONU chair who reigned for only 9 days, perhaps it was just a matter of time, and that night, state machinery pounced on him.
No, my room was actually room 1, hall 11, room 101. Actually, students used to call it the ANC headquarters. You remember that time the ANC was engaging the Boers. The African National Congress of South Africa was engaging the Boers. And my room played, radical speeches. I had a good sound system, which played Malcolm X, played Martin Luther King. We had all collections of speeches, which you got Louis Farrakhan. We used to play them there. And we had, of course, Che Guevara, pictures, Fidel Castro, Thomas Sankara, those are our guys. We had Frelimo, we had Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, we had Muammar Gaddafi, whom we really loved for engaging imperialism in the world. Those were the heroes that we kept. And we also had clandestine material. One of the defining marks of my team is that we may have been among the few student organizations, student teams, that had connections up to the underground. Comrades who left prison after serving their term came back and reconnected with us.
I was in my room, so I had a knock, and the first person I saw when I opened the door was the janitor, somebody I knew. But immediately behind him, I saw a crowd, like 10 or more than 10 people behind him. Okay, I knew things were not well. So they took me downstairs, somewhere on the road near the hostels. There was a 504 parked, and I was put in.
Wafula Buke, I would say, is a born leader, in my own opinion. Because even when we were in NYS, just pre-university service, he could lead people to resist some of these instructions which appeared mundane to him. So when he joined, he actually was admitted at the Kenyatta University. But because it was very difficult to do politics at Kenyatta University, it was better in the main campus, University of Nairobi. He actually transferred and changed his course to ensure he was at the University of Nairobi.
Remember when we were in NYS, Buke asking the then Secretary General of KANU, Minister Nathan Monoko, why they were expelling people from KANU and there was only one party. Where did they expect people to go? And I remember Buke was marked. In fact, he was, at that point, immediately, we also had people informers, I think, amongst the students. So at that point, when he asked that question, he was marked. He was called to the office. We were called Afande's officers. He was called to the Afande's office for questioning why he was embarrassing the institution by asking very radical questions.